Citizens Bill of Rights. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to put it on the ballot, to put it on the ballot, excuse me, only so that we can have this discussion on the table. It was brought up by citizens, I think it deserves some discussion. So I bring it up to get that
We have a
discussion.
motion. Do we have a second?
What is the bill? What is the Bill of Rights? Can you expand on this?
It's
It was presented.
I don't have that with me.
Citizen.
here.
Is there a second to the motion?
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
I mean, I would make the observation that, you know, a citizen's Bill of Rights sounds very good. I mean, we all feel that we have rights and they should be enumerated, but this is a huge question. And I think emotionally it passes every time if you ask people and they haven't looked into it. But when you get into the details of what does this Bill of Rights include, what doesn't it include, what's preempted by federal or state law, what's preempted by federal or state law. I mean, it's a hugely complex question that I don't know that, I think if it was to be approved, added to the charter, it would have a ton of unintended consequences and cost a lot of money, aggravation. And ultimately would probably take years to develop.
Just,
I agree.
I would just like to raise one thing. I was reading in the newspaper back within the last year. There was an argument over how many chickens someone can have on their property. That would be their right. So we get into that little nonsense. It's just,
The answer is 4.
oh, yeah.
Answer to that one.
You remember what that was.
Yeah. I agree with Rob. We did bring this up as just for discussion, and because it was in a lot of the other charters. And what we did was we just said, okay, there are in other charters. We have kind of a thin charter, but if we're ever self-governing, you know, maybe we should look at some of these other components just for discussion. And again, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about half of the charters have some form of what's called Citizens Bill of Rights. So we explored this, and it could be from a whistleblower, some sort of language, a code of ethics, education and training, citizen groups that would exist to initiate and conduct investigations. And these are all separate, they're not just one thing. An efficiency commission, and so forth. But in talking with the county, and most of it was from the administrator, when we interviewed Hector Flores, we asked him about these things, and some he did have to get back to us. Yes, this is in the county code. Yes, whistleblower is covered in the county code. This is covered in the county administrative code. I'm not saying all of this is, but a lot of this is being covered. Certainly it's not charter, but the commissioners would have to approve the county code or the administrative code to be changed. You know, and do away with these rights. I agree with Rob then. A lot of this is covered, and not knowing what we'd be talking about, it could take months and years to unravel until there's something solid that's not in conflict or already addressed. I mean, that's an arduous process. So, you know, and that's why we didn't make that recommendation.
I think my biggest concern, if I could say this, we were given this package back a while ago, and some of us are sitting here with a question mark over their heads. We've not looked at this. So now we're going to put this to the voters. They'll vote emotionally on this. If you look at some of the things that are in here, it could be very questionable, and it could be against laws that are already out there. So I think either call the question, or we could table this so everybody here reviews it. But remember, all of our voters are not going to take the time to read the 4 pages.
Donna?
Yeah, I guess if we were going to put this forward, I would rather it be something that this group had created, rather than it just comes in over the transom and we put it on the ballot because we think it sounds appropriate. Right now, I mean, I would not be forward, before going forward with something like this that is vague and just came, I mean, not saying that citizens don't have great recommendations, but I think this is too weighty to just proceed that way.
I would agree. I would agree, especially since nobody's really defined what rights they don't have. I mean, do we want the right to holler fire in a crowded theater, or? you know. Since there's no definition of what rights may be violated, I would not be in favor of putting that in there.
Jeff?
Yeah, I agree with Donna. This was given to us in November. Of 21, and if you read it, there's some big problems here. So if we're voting on the Citizens' Rights Bill, and this is it, you know,
I don't know that we were voting specifically for that document. I thought we were voting for a Citizens' Bill of Rights, and I agree with what's being said. Unfortunately, I think this came up too late in the game. And that's my issue with the whole way that this charter committee is run. And then why we made the recommendation as we did, that it should be reconstructed to give us more time. Because this is a weighty thing. I don't think we can make this recommendation for this. I think it's too late. I think it's much too complicated and difficult to make.
This is how lawyers make their money.
Anyone else wish to speak? Excuse
Well,
me.
if I had a suggestion, I would suggest that we maybe table this until the next meeting, giving everybody a chance to go back and review the issues, which are somewhere in this pile of paper and half of what I left
I
behind.
don't think we need
Well,
I mean, again, this is kind of a point of order.
Yeah.
Are we making a decision on whether the charter ought to say we should have a Citizens' Bill of Rights, or are we making, are we voting on whether this one that we've been presented should be the Bill of Rights? I mean,
What we've been doing is taking the issues
The
as
issue.
presented by citizens.
Citizens,
That
and everything else
So,
to us.
that's
Right.
it. We're
But-
voting on that document.
well, I get that's how it made the list, but my question to the group is, are we voting on a Citizens' Bill of Rights should be part of the charter, not the specific one that was presented to us? Or are we voting
Citizens
on?
Bill
I
of
don't know
Rights,
how
if we
you
say
can have one if
Citizens
you
Bill
don't
of
know what
Rights.
it is.
Well, I mean,
Rob
it's
has
sort
to
of a
write
two-step
language
process.
to put it on the ballot, and then it's gonna have to have some substance, which
Well-
means we're gonna have to burn the midnight oil.
Let me clarify my question. What I'm saying is, this group could make a recommendation that on the charter review referendum, it says, we believe there should be a Citizens' Bill of Rights, period. And it should be adopted, you know, following procedures and protocol and whatever. Without saying what it says, we could do that, right?
I don't know that we could do that. I think
No?
We would, the charter needs to set forth
That would
what it
pass.
sets forth. The charter doesn't set forth what we should do.
Okay,
So-
all right. Well, that was part of my intention for asking the
So the only
question.
thing we
Lisa, what was your motion?
To
It was,
include.
it was, it was really just
Discuss it.
discussion, have a
Discuss.
discussion on it, yes.
Then,
'Cause I thought it would be.
It was a motion to put it on the ballot
But only, yeah.
for,
only
for discussion purposes. So the question is, do you want to vote to put it on the
on the
ballot?
ballot? Raise your hands, yes, if you want to put it on the ballot. No, if you don't want it on the ballot. Okay, very good. Okay,